Vince Gallo.
Hi.
Thank you for coming and seeing me today.
Great to see you, Jay.
You bet. Everyone, this is Jay Marks and Vince Gallo running for District 63. And on behalf of the Cross Timbers Gazette, tonight we're going to have a conversation to find out why Vince Gallo wants to be your new representative for State House District 63. So first of all, Vince, who is Vince Gallo?
Well, I am a resident of Flower Mound. I am a former police officer for the city of Carrollton. I have 12 years worth of police experience with the city of Carrollton. I have been running my own small construction company since 2001, and I have been doing residential and light commercial construction since that time. I had a short stint in the financial services business after college, after I graduated from UNT.
Go Mean Green.
It was not where I belonged, and I quickly realized that and got out of that business into something that was better suited to my taste and personality. I'm married. I have 4 children. I have an autistic son who lives at home with us, an adult autistic son who lives at home with us. I've been married for 40 years to my wonderful wife, Cindy, and very passionate about trying to do what needs to be done to make sure that America and Texas are safe, secure, and prosperous over the long term.
Well, that's a great answer. First of all, congratulations on 40 years of marriage.
Thank you very much.
Very few people can say that.
I know that in this day and age, that's a rarity, and I am blessed. People talk about making good or bad decisions in their life, but I can tell you, as far as that decision is concerned, it is one of the best decisions I've made.
All right, so we got at least one good one there.
One good one.
That's
You're right.
Awesome.
You're right.
I just want to make Cindy proud there. Okay, good. So, Vince, tell me, a lot of things are happening politically, a lot of things happening in the state, in the United States, and things like that. People are really concerned about the border. But I'm curious, why are you running against Ben Bumgarner? Tell me, what do you think needs to be done different?
There's several reasons, but I would say this about the against Ben Bumgarner issue. I don't even see this as me running against Ben Bumgarner. The way I look at this race is, I know he's the incumbent and I know that he's my opponent, but the fact of the matter is that the problem that I see is that the culture that exists in the Texas House of Representatives is not a culture that is designed to ensure those things that I mentioned earlier, the prosperity and the safety and the long-term success of the state of Texas and the United States. From where I sit, we have too many people that are in leadership positions in the Texas House, namely Dave Phelan, who look upon the House as their own personal power piggy bank, so to speak. They are doing things that are detrimental to the long-term prosperity and survivability of the state of Texas. But you cannot make the changes to the culture in the Texas House and the leadership in the Texas House unless you change the individual representatives who support Mr. Phelan and his lieutenants. So this is not an issue that I have some personal axe to grind with Mr. Bumgarner. It's an issue of whether or not, in his position, he has allowed himself to be co-opted by that power structure in Austin, and he has lost his ability to independently represent the voters of HD 63 and to hold the leadership accountable to the citizens of Texas. So that's why I'm running for this position.
So for Texas.
Yes.
So let me ask you a couple of fireball questions.
Okay.
The border.
The border is a massive problem. As a former police officer, I can tell you that there are significant safety issues that are concerned with bringing 10 million people into this country in the last 3 years that are not vetted. There's no way that the United States government or the government of Texas can tell you where these people come from, who they're affiliated with, and whether or not they're part of an effort from the standpoint of either the globalists who run the World Economic Forum, or the Chinese, or the UN, or the Marxists who reside inside our own government in Washington, D.C. And so the issue is, if you're going to bring that many people in here, and you don't know where they came from, and you don't know what their intentions are, and they're being used to subvert what I would consider to be the conservative voting base of the United States, None of that's good. It's not good from a safety standpoint. It's not good from a cultural standpoint, and it's not good from an election integrity standpoint. Those people are being brought here to replace conservative Republican voters, but they're also a potential source of extremely dangerous terrorist type of individuals that could wreak havoc in this country if they chose to. And so the issue for me is the border has to be secured. And I don't mean secured in the way that Mr. Bumgarner or Governor Abbott would like you to believe that it is being secured. I'm not talking about individual 2-mile sections here or there that are secured. I'm talking about 1,254 miles of Texas border being secured. Shelby Park is right by Eagle Pass, and I commend Governor Abbott for what he did in Shelby Park. He just needs to do that with the rest of the 1,254-mile border.
Roger that. Tell me about your thoughts on property taxes.
I believe that property taxes are immoral, frankly. I'm in the construction business. I built the house that I'm living in right now. When I look back on the fact that I dug the foundation trenches for it and I was instrumental in pouring the concrete, I was raking concrete, I was tying steel, I framed my walls. I did everything that that house had to have done essentially to build it, with the exception of lay the brick. I did the stone work on it, but I didn't lay the brick. And while I was doing all that, I don't remember anybody from the state of Texas or from the county of Denton showing up to help me create an asset that where there was just dirt before. But the minute that I got that house built and the minute I moved into it, suddenly people showed up and said, you need to pay us for the privilege of living in your own house.
Yeah.
And this brings up the issue of one of the things about leadership in the Texas House and how you deal with issues in Texas. We had a $32 billion budget surplus that the state of Texas, actually the legislators in the state of Texas, took $12 billion of. They added $7 billion from the previous budget, and they used that to what they said, reduce your property taxes. My position on that is they did no such thing. They took money that we had already paid into the state. They took that and paid down your future tax bill for 2 years using your own money, and then told you that they actually cut your taxes, right? So that to me is a shell game about how they say that they reduced your property taxes. The other issue is, if you take into consideration that $32 billion budget surplus and you add it to the $66 billion budget increase that they just passed, that means that the legislators in Texas took a swing of 90 plus almost $100 billion in additional spending that they spent of Texas taxpayer money. And there is no way that you can institute that kind of budget increase without turning around and looking at the citizens of the state of Texas and saying, we're going to be able to maintain those quote unquote property taxes that we gave you. They are going to be forced into generating additional tax revenue from property taxes or from other tax revenue sources. And all of that benefit that you think that you got for them, in my opinion, is going to evaporate because they're going to be forced to deal with the spending requirements that they obligated the taxpayers of Texas to cover.
Wow. That's sounds like you've done your homework for sure.
I've looked into it
a little bit. So Vince, if you're elected, how are you going to build a coalition to accomplish your goals?
That's an awesome question. And the reason it's an awesome question is because, again, this goes back to what I said earlier about changing the culture of the State House of Texas. There's 86 Republicans, I think is what it is, that are currently members of the Texas House. Texas is a Republican state. There are almost, I believe at this time, the number somewhere around 54 challengers to incumbents. You've got 54 people that have dedicated time and money and exposure and a lot of negative ramifications for running for office to try to change out the membership of the Texas House. And I would submit to you that if the Republicans who are there currently were operating in a manner that reflected what the citizens of Texas, the conservative Republicans of Texas wanted, you wouldn't have anywhere near that. So I believe that there will be enough challengers who will be successful in their endeavor to replace currently elected Republicans, that you will have a cooperative base of individuals that can be added to the 7 or so that are what I call committed conservatives in Austin, that the leadership in the House will have no choice but to take into consideration the block of conservative Republicans who have been elected, and you will be able to leverage your ability to demand conservative priorities are addressed in the House, which you do not have right now.
I see. Well, I have one last question.
Sure.
If you could tell the voters of District 63 one reason why they should vote for you, look at the camera, what would you say?
Folks, we've got an awesome opportunity, as I just mentioned, about the fact that there are 55 or so challengers to incumbent Republican elected officials in the state house. Texas, I believe, is the most divergent state that there is in the United States from what the actual voter, Republican voters, have been telling their elected officials that they want versus what they have been getting out of their elected Republican officials and the leadership of the Republican House in Texas. If you want Texas to be run like a conservative Republican state, then you have to do what is necessary to change the people who are actually supporting the leadership in the House in Texas. You've got an excellent opportunity to accomplish that. And I am one of those 55 who will give you their word without any question whatsoever that our main objective is to represent the voters of our district and not the power structure that is led by Dade Phelan and his lieutenants in Austin. So I'm asking that you vote for me on the 5th or during early voting. And if you want to support my candidacy, you can go to gallofortexas.com.
Vince, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, meet Vince Gallo, gallofortexas.com, so you can learn more about him and to ask any question you have directly. Vince, thank you.
Thank you.